So, what is depression? Dictionary defines it as sadness, gloomy, dejection is what they call it. Medically, it's a chemical imbalance of the brain. Um, just, I mean, that's basically what it is. The doctor just called it a chemical imbalance of the brain. Your brain it functions different than any other person's, a normal person's, I guess you'd call it, which people who have depression are normal. I'm trying to figure out why my hair's doing that thing. Why it's sticking up like that. I have been wanting to make this video for a few days now. I've been sick and I don't know how to word it, because I've heard a lot about people saying that depression is all in your head. Depression is it's not real. It's not something that anybody ever suffers from, and I can tell you that cannot be any further from the truth. Now, if you want to be technical about it, technically it is all in your head because it's a chemical imbalance of the brain. So medically, yes, it's all in your head. But for someone to walk up to me and say, get over it, or the depression is not that bad, which I've had an old boss tell me that. I've had an old boss tell me, stop being sad. I mean, that's basically what they told me, because my aunt died in 2011, and I had to go to her funeral and go to work that same night. And my boss told me that I needed to just suck it up. I mean, my aunt was 38 years old when she died, and so it wasn't just okay, I'm just gonna suck it up and that's it. It was something to be sad about, and it's a perfect example of people just telling you to suck it up. Is and I know she did it just for the view. She admitted that she may not exactly think that way, but Nicole Arbor is a perfect example of that. Nicole Arbor is a Canadian YouTube star who has made many videos, as far as made one I think called Dear Fat People, and then she made another one about depression all being in your head, and she does it for views. I don't even want to get into it. I don't even want to get into her. That's a whole other video. But I can tell you from a personal standpoint that it's real. It's as real as me. It's as real as I can't tell you how many times that I've been in the car or laying in bed, and I'll be just fine, and all of a sudden just something will hit me, and it sucks, because there's times when you overthink things, and you just I've had nights where I haven't slept more than a couple hours because my depression is so bad. I've had days where I've called into work because my depression is so bad that I don't even want to get out of bed. I've literally called into work. I don't call into work very often at all. If anybody knows me, anybody who watches this video that knows me knows that I don't call into work, ever. I worked at a car dealership for 2 years and I never called in once. But I started another job, quit that dealership and started another job, and back in June or July, I don't know what it was, but something back in June or July hit me, and there was a couple of days where I couldn't function. And it wasn't that I was sick, it wasn't that I was ill or anything like that. My depression was so bad I couldn't even get out of bed. I mean, it was awful. And so I want to make this video to let people know that depression and anxiety is a very real thing. Do not let anybody ever tell you any different. Do not let anybody ever make you feel like you are wrong because you suffer from either one of those things. And I'll talk about anxiety in a second, because I don't think a lot of people get that either. I don't think a lot of people understand exactly what anxiety entails either. But depression is an awful thing. I don't wish it upon anybody. If anybody's watching this and you don't suffer from depression, and you don't just have those random bouts of sadness and you are just happy, you can count your lucky stars, because being in a car, I drive 35 minutes for work every day. And being in the car and being okay for the first 20 minutes, and the last 15 minutes, all of a sudden it just hits you, and like you're just on the verge of tears for the last 15 minutes of your drive. And it's just random bouts of sadness. It's just, I mean, feeling lonely sometimes. I mean, my fiance and my son, 2 sons, are 9 hours away. So there's sometimes when it'll just hit me that, I miss him. I see my son every 2 weeks. I go and pick him up 9 hours away, and he comes and stays with me for a couple weeks. But when it's not time for me to have him, I miss him, and it's just feelings of loneliness that leads to depression. But don't ever let anybody make you think that you're wrong or you're different or anything like that because you have depression. I mean, look at Robin Williams. Robin Williams was one of the most successful men in the entire world, and look where he is now. I mean, it's not. Don't let anybody ever make you feel like you're not worth anything because you suffer from depression. Now, the anxiety part of it that I wish people understood. This is the part that gets me, because like I work at a bowling alley, which they also call it an entertainment center. It's a massive place. It's not just a bowling alley. It's ridiculous. But anyway, there's Saturday nights. I mean, we do $1 million worth of food out of this kitchen a year. And on Saturday nights during the holidays, we have party after party after party. And I mean, we're talking 200 people parties. And we have dishes stacked to the ceiling. I mean, and I'll get upset and I'll toss a dish or, raise my voice or something. And it's not at anybody. It's just, releasing some stress. But what I wish people understood, or I wish my coworkers understood that don't suffer from this, that don't suffer from this, is that when I get upset, I'm not getting upset just to get upset, it's my anxiety. Because when I see these dishes here and these dishes over here and I feel like I can't keep up, then I put that on myself and I get anxious and my anxiety kicks in, and it makes me, I'm not going to say it makes me have an outburst, but it changes my attitude, because if I'm a very perfectionist type of person, so if I feel like I'm not doing my job, I take it out on myself and I get upset, and that's just part of the anxiety. So if you ever see somebody that has a random outburst or something like that over the simplest things, they probably suffer from anxiety. To you, it may seem like something just as simple as, well, somebody shouldn't be getting upset about that. But as someone who has anxiety, to them, even the littlest things can feel like the biggest things. I mean, to somebody, something is just like Christopher Titus once said. Somebody who, the toilet backs up and they plunge it, but there's someone else the toilet backs up and they think the whole world's coming to an end. I've never been that exaggerated about my anxiety, but there's just an example because it's a joke he tells in one of his, excuse me, I'm getting over sickness. But, I mean, I wish more people understood how hard depression is. I wish more people understood how difficult it is to live with it. I mean, right now, I still have it. I have a fiance, I have 2 kids, and my life is good right now. I have a good job. My family loves me, but I still suffer from it. So it's not something that you can just turn off. It's not something that you can just be like, oh, I don't have depression anymore. Yay, good for me. No, it's something that comes in and out. I met my fiance a year and 2 months ago. We now have a child together, and she has a son that I plan to adopt, an older son. Again, excuse me. I met her a year and 2 months ago, and about a year and 4 months ago, I tried to kill myself. Because back in the summer and early fall of 2017, I had someone who I thought I could trust, and I started doing drugs. I didn't start doing drugs. I got off work. It's early in the morning. She started doing drugs again after being clean in my house behind my back, and then stole money from me and took off to the state I picked her up from in the first place with her now husband. So, I mean, it's just, people use you because they know you're in a vulnerable state, and I'm just here to tell you that if you suffer from anything like that, if you suffer from depression, anxiety, anything like that, surround yourself with the most positive people you can. Do not surround yourself with people who are going to make you feel like your depression is the worst thing in the world. That's it. Just surround yourself with people that, just like I just saw something earlier about it. Just like there's a story with Pooh and Piglet, Winnie the Pooh and Piglet, and they go and find Eeyore and ask him why they haven't seen him all day, and they go to check on him. And he says, I'm sad, and I'm not fun to be around, so I didn't want to come and find you guys. And Pooh and Piglet say that even if on your sad days, on your off days, on the days that you're not fun to be around, we're your friends and we still want to be around you. So find those people that even on your off days still want to be around you. Those are the people that you need for the rest of your life. Those are the people that you want, that when something happens, if you have your random bouts of depression, you have your anxiety, those are the people that you can go to. And I hope that if anybody watches this, that you have people like that in your life, because I do. I can go to, my mom, my dad, my fiance, and there's days when I can't talk about it. And there are times when it's hard for me to talk about it, because I've had stuff happen to me in the past, not just, excuse me, I'm so sorry. Not just, the drug addict in my house, but I had an ex tell me, I love writing. I do. I love writing. I love reading. I'm a big movie person. I'm doing my best to try to sit down and write a script that I've had an idea from for years. I mean, I've had an idea for this script, for this story, since like 2011. And back in 2009, 2008, I had an ex tell me that I sucked at writing. And I stopped writing. I used to write all the time. I used to write short stories. I used to write poems. I've gotten a couple of Editor's Choice Awards for poems. But after she told me that, I stopped writing. And I haven't really written anything in 8 years, 9 years, close to 10 now. But it's just little things like that. I mean, that's anyone who suffers from depression or anxiety knows that feeling, knows the feeling of when somebody tells you something like that. It doesn't just, you don't just brush it off. You don't just brush it off your shoulder. You have to, it gets to you. As much as I hate that, as much as I don't like the little things getting to me, they do. And I let them bother me for the longest time. And people just tell me to get over it, but it's not that easy. It's not easy just to be like, okay, let me just forget what she said and go back to writing. That was almost 10 years ago, and I'm still afraid to pick up a pen and a piece of paper and write something down, because I don't know what anybody's going to think. With her, when her reaction was that way, I was done. Like that she doesn't even matter. She's not even in my life anymore. I tried to tell her about us, me and my fiance having a baby, and she called me a psycho and told me to leave her alone. I don't know what that was all about, but excuse me. I apologize for the coughing. I'm getting over a sickness and I don't have anything to drink. I should have. I didn't think this out. I just wanted to get this video out. But it's very hard. That's what it is. It's hard. And I wish more people understood the everyday struggles of someone who has depression and anxiety. When somebody tells you something like she told me, it has stuck with me for almost 10 years. I've got so many things going on. I've got a couple of business ventures that I'm possibly being a part of, and in the back of my head, I always think, you're not good at being a part of this, because that's your anxiety and your depression talking, is that there's always a part of you that doubts yourself. There's a film company that a very good friend of mine started. He wants me to be with him on this film company from start to end, no matter how long it lasts. And the couple actors for our film company want me to be a producer on their stuff. And it's just, there's a lot of stuff coming up, but that voice in the back of my head tells me that I can't do it, that I'm not good enough to do it. And I don't, the last thing I'll say, and I'll explain why, but I don't talk to people about my feelings, because back in, again, this was a few years ago, I think it was 2014, 15, I was on I was out of a relationship, so I was on a couple dating sites, and I met this girl who lives in Kokomo, Indiana, which is 45 minutes north of me, sometimes give or take. I'm talking to this girl, and she says she's a cop in training. That's cool, whatever. I don't have a problem with cops, whatever. She seemed cool, and I told her, I'm upfront and honest when I talk to people about my depression and anxiety. I'm going to tell you that I have it, because if something happens and I don't talk to you for a day, you understand why. It's not just because I'm mad. It's because there are days when my depression is bad and I shut down. That's all there is to it. Anyway, she told me she understood, and she said if you ever need to talk to somebody, then I could talk to her. And there was one day when my depression was really bad, and I sent her a message, and her response when I sent her that message was that I should just go kill myself. I'm not even making that up. That was her response, was that I should just go kill myself. And I didn't know what to say. I just ended up blocking her on Facebook. Because when you know that somebody suffers from depression and anxiety, that's the last thing you want to say to somebody. And I've had several people tell me that. I've had several people tell me to go kill myself. And when somebody suffers from it bad enough, you're going to have that one person that you're going to say it to, and they're just going to, okay, and that's it. They go and do it. I had a family friend of mine who, back in 2013, killed himself because he found out that his fiance had cheated on him with his best friend, and he went in the woods behind his house and he took his own life, and he was 21 years old. Happiest, one of the happiest kids I know. I mean, his family loved him. He talked to his mom every day, and something, when he found that out about her, something in his head went off, and he decided that was it. And I wish people understood that it's that simple. It's one thing that can set somebody off. One thing. So that's what I understood. I've been mean to people in the past. I've judged people in the past. I've said things about people I wish I wouldn't have. But all it takes is for you to say one thing to some random person in public, for that person to go, you know what, that was the final straw, and I'm done. And they go and they take a fistful of pills, or they take that knife to their wrist, or they take that gun and put it to their head, or whatever. So I'm just asking you as a final thing, because I didn't realize this video was going to be only almost 20 minutes long. Just please try to be as nice to people as you possibly can. I understand that there's days when you have bad days, and there's days when stuff happens, but you just never know in this day and age when somebody's going through something. I don't want any of you guys to say something to somebody, even if you don't know that this person is going to go home and do that. I don't want you to say something to somebody that pushes somebody to take their life. I don't ever want somebody to be part of that. I don't want you to ever be the reason that somebody does what they do. And I mean, some people have depression so bad that even the littlest thing can push them to do that. And there's people that self-mutilate, and as sad as it is, there's not as much help for, mental illnesses as there used to be. There's not as many mental hospitals open. There's not as much resources as there used to be to get help. There is, but it's not as widespread as it used to be. The best therapy is to surround yourself with good people and talk to people as much as you can. If you need somebody to talk to, I don't care if you have to message me. You message me whenever you have to. I will talk to people. As someone who suffers from both, I know what you're going through. So if anybody ever listens to this or listens to it, and you have those thoughts of killing yourself, you can message me. I will get the message and I will message you back. I just don't want anybody to feel like that they're done, that's it. So when it comes down to it, depression is a very real thing. Anxiety is a very real thing. Is it all in your head? Are you making it all up? No. It's a chemical imbalance in your brain. Your brain is not the same as everybody else's when you have depression and anxiety. But I beg you, if you're feeling down, if you're feeling like you want to take your own life, talk to somebody. Go surround yourself with the people that you know are going to change that attitude. And I hope that this video reaches somebody and helps them. Thank you guys for watching.